The Freedom Convoy was an international event which happened on Canadian soil. The world looked on as everyday Canadians united to protest their government peacefully, and their action inspired other demonstrations in other countries like the United States and Holland. It started with the government decision on January 15, 2022 to prohibit unvaccinated truck drivers from crossing the Canada-United States border. Truck drivers who failed to comply with this medical decision were quarantined for 2 weeks upon their return home, making their work impossible. A group of these truckers and their supporters began organizing in Western Canada to take their concern to Ottawa in the form of a convoy. If the politicians were not listening, they were going to make them listen to their concern about the discrimination of the vaccine mandate. Truckers had been praised as the hero of the pandemic until they were not anymore. In the wake of this revelation, several other Canadian convoys decided to join this movement. On January 14, just before the government decision was put in place, a GoFundMe was created by Tamara Litch and Benjamin Ditcher in order to allow Canadians to throw their financial support behind the various truckers who were going to stay in the city of Ottawa for an indefinite time. Tamara Litch is a caring, committed Indigenous grandma who has always defended individual freedom. She joined the movement because she was concerned by the government overreach to people. In a short period of time, this platform had collected over $10 million. The GoFundMe platform on February 5th decided to withdraw the social finance from the convoy by freezing and reimbursing the total amount collected after the pressure from politicians and police. The company stated that it now has evidence of law enforcement that the formerly peaceful demonstration had become an occupation, with police report of violence and other illegal activities. Yet, at the commission of the inquiry into the invocation of the Emergencies Act, the terrorist law the Trudeau government used to end the convoy protests, the evidence and testimony do not support those claims. You can check this out at truckercommission.com. The first convoy from the west, from Vancouver in particular, set out for Ottawa on January 22. Along the way, many thousands of Canadians were looking forward to the convoy at the overpass to show their support. At the fuel station, several hundred people came to feed truck drivers with food and other necessities. Rebel News' Mocha Bezergan and Céline Gallas embedded themselves in the convoy after it reached Alberta, and they followed all the way to the final destination, Ottawa. On January 29, it was clear Ottawa was not the same place. A boring town of mostly bureaucrats came to life after 2 years, a festive town full of energy. Hundreds of thousands of people were on the streets in the very heart of Ottawa. People had forgotten how cold it was at the rhythm of freedom song and horn. On this first weekend, the presence of so-called agitators did not go unnoticed by the bailout media, who framed these lone outliners to paint the convoy as dangerous and racist people. A Confederate flag and a Nazi flag were pictured in the crowd. We have already investigated this event in another of my reports. We will link that story in the article accompanying this video so you can see it for yourself. After that first weekend, the city of Ottawa did not return to normal because the truckers were not leaving before the government lifted the restriction. The demonstration remained peaceful from the beginning of January 28 to the very end of February 17, before the 2 days of the dismantlement of February 18 and 19. I would like to point out that inflatable games were being set up for children, as well as street hockey. Free food stalls were on several streets, places to keep warm were offered, and people made sure to clean the streets and clear the snow so no one gets hurt. Despite their difference and contrary views, all these people have realized the impossible and accepted everyone without judging their difference. Vaccinated and unvaccinated were together again, united in freedom. Police were not as tolerant. They began to take several measures against the demonstrator. On February 6, Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson declared a state of emergency, and the Ottawa Police Service announced a ban on providing support supply to truckers. That same night, an enormous seizure of diesel fuel was carried out of Coventry, where the Convoy headquarters were located. The next day, several protesters marched with jerry cans to show their support for the truckers. On February 7, a 10-day injunction was issued by an Ontario Superior Court judge to prevent truck drivers from honking their horn. Then there were announcements that authorities would consider seizing children and animals from the convoy.
Children who could be at risk during a police operation. We're working with the Children's Aid Society to ensure their welfare and safety.
On February 11, Ontario Premier Doug Ford declared a state of emergency for the province to end the occupation. On February 12 and 13, through a mediator, the convoy organizers were able to contact Mayor Jim Watson to reach a common ground and redirect the truck out of the residential areas. Mayor Watson's request was to have everything done by the 14th around noon. Truckers had begun moving trucks with the help of the police in a show of good faith. The inquiry revealed that Marcel Baudin from the Ontario Provincial Police had developed detailed plan. That plan was submitted on February 14 to Trudeau cabinet, but it was ignored and the Emergencies Act was invoked.
I understand this is an email from the Deputy Minister of Public Safety, Rob Stewart, to you, right?
Yes.
Okay, and in the third sentence on the top paragraph, it says, "We have a big meeting this afternoon where this will be discussed, so I really need your input," right?
Yes.
All right. Did you know that that meeting was at 3:30 p.m. and that it was with Cabinet and it was the incident response group of the political executive meeting and that your proposal was provided to them?
No.
Okay. It was. I can tell you that. And then they invoked the Emergencies Act. Thank you.
On February 15, a first blue document was distributed to the protester and the various vehicles to leave well, and that any participant or helpers in this demonstration face criminal offense and could be arrested. On February 16, a second red document was distributed mentioning the last notice to leave the city. Since we did not know when the police were going to take action, my colleague Lincoln J. and Guillaume Roy and I stayed on the streets day and night. When the police arrived on Rideau Street on the 18th, opposite of the Westin Hotel, everything started to fall apart. The police were equipped with several weapons, horses, armor, tanks, gas and cayenne canister, and baton. A number of arrests were made in a savage, violent manner. People were trampled by horses and beaten with sticks. Vehicle windows were smashed and much more. A terrible ending, which was pointless. Today, a commission of inquiry is in progress to determine whether the Emergencies Act was necessary to put an end to this peaceful demonstration. Remember to follow us at truckercommission.com to keep you updated. And if you want to rewatch our Convoy report, you can go to convoyreport.com. Thank you. It was Alexa for Urban News. So right now there is a commission about the invocation of the Emergency Act to know if it was really necessary to have it, to dismantle and to make a end of the peaceful protests in Ottawa. If you want to keep you updated and see all our coverage, you can do so at truckercommission.com. And if you want, you can donate generously so we can continue to cover it because, as you know, without you, we cannot do it. So thank you very much.